Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. The game hasn't changed for select men. For select men. And you know, anybody who's followed me a long time know I talk about select and non-select. I don't use alpha, beta, or 80-20. But it's the same general principle. I do mean general. And when I'm talking about select men, I'm talking about men who, they get women. They get women on enough of a basis not to complain about them or anything. And I'm going to tell you what, something else I always get. Somebody hit me up and say, Rom, you're old. It's not like, it ain't like it was. Things have changed and everything. And my only question to guys who hit me with that is, you didn't live back then. How do you know they've changed? Now, if someone older says that, I'm like, okay. But then I'll ask them some questions. I'll ask them if they were select or not. And because if you talk to select men, there's nothing changed. Because I'm talking, the principles I'm talking about with the men who are getting the women going back to at least the 1920s. At least the 1920s, probably go back further than that, but I didn't have a chance to talk to anybody. Because one of the things, and this was inspired, this video was inspired by someone who was in my inner circle, so to speak. And they were telling me how they were talking with an older gentleman who was talking about all the women he was getting and, you know, married, his side pieces, all of that. And I was just laughing because it was the same thing. It was just different. See, understand something. When I speak, when I'm giving some principles, they are what women are just going to go for. They're just what women are going to go for. You know, and guys are complaining and saying, no, they're not going for that. And they really fantasizing, I'm just gonna be raw with it. They fantasizing that something didn't go a certain way back when they were young, because they don't want to imagine that their mamas done suck somebody's dick. Yeah, I'm gonna be raw like that. Or their mamas had somebody hitting that shit doggy style. Or that their mamas was out there. No, their mamas just ain't telling them. No, they were. They think. Shoot, even something like paternity fraud, they didn't have the ability to test it back then. The number of paternity fraud has gone up to 40% from what I've heard. From what I've heard, I'm not sure. I don't know. My sons look like me, so I haven't had a reason to check. So it was one of those things. So it was like, okay. But it hasn't changed. They are still doing the exact same things. It's who's turning the women on sexually, who's comfortable with the women sexually, who the women can be free with sexually. That's it. That hasn't changed. Nothing's changed about a woman's vagina. Shit, in millions of years, forget thousands, millions of years, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And whatever the case, whether you want to argue, well, you know, somebody smart to come on and say, well, it's really thousands of years. Okay, has it changed since at least the 1920s? No. No. But see, those are the select men, because one of the things I have seen a change in, though, and I have to acknowledge this, is non-select. Women don't deal with non-select men the way they might have used to. They might have still dealt with, see, decades ago, they would still deal with the non-select men. But those were like the hubby types. While, and I've said this several times, listen to some of those old blues songs from back in the day. Listen to some of them, the backdoor man and everything, or jokes about the mailman or the salesman and everything. Only difference is women, they don't have to settle with a non-select man. That's the biggest change. You know, they got their own money now. You know, they got their own money. They can get their own homes and everything, got their own businesses and jobs and careers. They don't have to. But for the select man, the man that they were getting with, even from back in the day, oh, they can be more open about it. They can be more open about going for the man that they consider sexually appealing. And notice I said sexually appealing. There's more openness towards that now. See, that's the thing. See, when I talk about select and non-select, it's a sexual hierarchy. It's a sexual hierarchy. I'm gonna say that 3 times. Do like a certain doctor does. Say it 3 times. It's a sexual hierarchy. It hasn't changed for them. They still getting it the same way. Someone, a select man who's 77 now can have a conversation with a man who's 27 now. If they both select, they're gonna have the same conversation. The only real change is maybe some technology and everything. But there hasn't been a change as far as the type of men that women want. You know, the subtitle for my book, Nice Guys in Place, Becoming the Man Women Want. They want the man that turns them on sexually. And a lot of men don't. And you can just look at it. If you give, in fact, only real change has really been social media. And all social media has done is they can't hide stuff. They were more discreet back then. That's the only difference. But they were still getting with the same type of men. See, they can be open about it now. And see, that's all I'm saying. And just to be clear, the select man isn't always like some super tall or super handsome or super muscular man. The select man is just whoever turns them on sexually. Different men can turn them on. Now this week I talked about how a man can determine which women are in his tribe. And there's going to be different men. You're going to get different types of men. If you looked in a select thing, the most they have in common is a good body build. A good one, not a great one, a good one. Because in general, that's what women look for, a good body build. Which means some can be like muscular, some can be some big dudes and stuff, some can be on the lean side, you know, as long as they have a good frame on them. And that's most general, because you get some women, they want a guy who's real big, and some women want a man who's ultra slim. Whatever the case, they select. And they select because they figured out which women they can go for. That's the key. That's the key. But whatever the case, the game has not changed. It's the same. It is the same for the select men. Now for non-select, lots changed. Women don't have to settle and everything. But I would think that if you rolling with me, you watching my channel, you reading my books, you supporting my works, you're working to become select. Because once you become select, you'll see. All right? Anyway, that's all I have for right now. I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.